What's going on, everyone? So Kevin Durant to the San Antonio Spurs is the hottest topic right now, right? Seems to be very likely. It seems to be something that is really gaining traction, right? A lot of smoke. And when there's smoke, there's usually fire. And Kevin Durant headed to the San Antonio Spurs makes sense for Kevin Durant, makes sense for the Spurs, right? Makes sense for even the Phoenix Suns to get assets and players and whatnot. And the Spurs would still be able to build out a roster along Kevin Durant, De'Aaron Fox, and Victor Wembanyama to contend as soon as next season, potentially, right? But one of the things is, does Kevin Durant really want to go to the Spurs, right? We've heard all kinds of rumors and talks, and his camp, Kevin Durant's camp, wants him to go to the Spurs. Well, you hear it all the time. Like, the camp wants a player to go somewhere. The people around him want him to go somewhere, but that player ends up going elsewhere, right? Team wants, Kevin Durant is a great example too. When he went to the Brooklyn Nets, there were talks that, people in his camp wanted him to stick around in Golden State and kind of work through that, figure that out. I wanted him to go to other places, right? But he wanted to go to the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving, right? So again, just because the camp wants him somewhere doesn't mean that he wants to go there. And now, according to Sam Amico, Kevin Durant prefers a Spurs trade. That is his preferred destination, is to the San Antonio Spurs. So again, assuming that this report is true, right? You're kind of going off of, people's, reports that sometimes are accurate, sometimes are not, right? But like I said, there's been enough smoke that I believe in the fire, right? And now you got talks that, hey, his camp wants him to go to the Spurs. The Spurs want Kevin Durant. Phoenix is interested in trading Kevin Durant to the Spurs. And now you kind of got the completion of it all, and Kevin Durant wants to go to the Spurs. Now, look, there have been little murmurs and stuff about Kevin Durant wanting to go to Spurs, but it's kind of been like Kevin Durant has the Spurs on his list of teams, right? Houston and some of these other teams that he might be interested in, where now you're getting the reports that, no, Kevin Durant wants to go to the Spurs, that is his preferred place, just like Phoenix, the Suns, were his preferred place when he was traded from the Brooklyn Nets. He had a list of teams kind of like, hey, if I have to go somewhere else, it's one of these teams, but I would prefer the Phoenix Suns, and he ultimately gets traded to the Phoenix Suns. Now, obviously, if you're the Spurs, go get Kevin Durant, as long as it's within reason, which it should be, right? I don't think you're trading number 2 pick. I don't think you're trading Stephon Castle. Outside of that, sure, whatever you have to trade. Obviously, you're not trading Wemby and De'Aaron Fox, but I'm talking about, between everyone else, pony up what you got to pony up, go get Kevin Durant, right? You can, all those little fill-in pieces, all those little role pieces, you more likely than not will be able to fill in. Obviously, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a name on that list. Giannis appears like he ain't going anywhere, right? Obviously, things could change, but we got reports earlier that Giannis has not requested a trade. On top of him not requesting a trade, the Milwaukee Bucks are basically turning away anyone that is asking and trying to initiate any type of trade talks, because they're like, hey, we're not trading him unless Giannis wants to trade. So to me, if you're the Spurs, I don't think you wait it out, right? You could potentially make the argument, like, do you kind of be patient, right? Kind of wait and see. If Giannis works out, worst case scenario, you kind of just stay the course. But I think if you have the potential to get Kevin Durant, especially at the price that you're likely to get Kevin Durant, I don't think you really say no to that. I think you pull that off. I think you get that done, right? Because Kevin Durant immediately makes this team light years better, right? You're going to have a full training camp, a full preseason with De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Durant, and Victor Wembanyama. That is very important for this team to kind of build that chemistry, build that relationship, right? You saw De'Aaron Fox. That trade happens right in like the heart of the season. And then, he ultimately ends up missing the rest of the season because they weren't playing for anything at that point. And look, it worked out. They ended up getting the number 2 pick, right? So it turned out to be a good choice. And then, once Victor Wembanyama went down, it was kind of like, all right, well, we should probably scrap this season, move into next season. So going and getting a guy like Kevin Durant gives you that experience, right? Gives you a guy that's been there and done that. Right, has won championships, has won finals MVPs, right? A guy that, yes, he is older, right? But one, that's why you're going to be able to get him at the price that you'd be able to get him, where 5 years, ago, you would have paid, it would have been De'Aaron Fox, it would have been, Stephon Castle, it would have been the number 2 pick plus the number 14 pick. I mean, you would have had to sell the farm to go get Kevin Durant, where now you're going to be able to get him likely for the 14th pick, maybe a future pick, and then, a Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson, or a Devin Vassell and a Harrison Barnes, which personally, I would like to keep Harrison Barnes. That's just me. I think you could even slot Harrison Barnes at the other forward spot and just go with like a De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Kevin Durant, Harrison Barnes, and then Victor Wembanyama. Boom, there you go. You got shooting, you got floor spacing, you got defense, you got switchability, got a little bit of everything out there on the basketball court. But also Kevin Durant, beyond his on-court production, which his game is going to age beautifully. I mean, the guy is 7 feet and just is ultra efficient. That's not going anywhere. He's not reliant and hyper, athletic. And it's like, man, once his athleticism starts to decline, that's it. No, he's just taller than everybody and moves in a majestic way that no one can guard him. That guy could probably play till he's 50 if he wanted to, right? So you're going to have him at least, not just this year coming up, but likely several years going forward. And to me, I just think you start structuring the pieces around him. I think Kevin Durant, on top of the on-court production, he's going to go get you, 23 to 27 a night, depending on, kind of his role and how they operate him. But the guy's going to be in the 20s on like 12 attempts, right? Like the guy, he's one of the few guys that doesn't need 20 attempts to get you 20 points, right? He's still one of the most efficient players in all of basketball. He's better off ball than he is on ball at times. The guy is terrifying. He has the experience playing alongside multiple stars, multiple players from the Golden State Warriors, as well as, the Brooklyn Nets and even the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? You got to keep in mind, Kevin Durant's played with a lot of other stars. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, right? Steph, Clay, Draymond Green, right? So he is very familiar, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. He is very familiar playing and operating and being off ball and letting other guys cook while still being effective and impacting the game. And it's something you're always, as the defense, are always going to have to keep an eye on. So that's just really beneficial for a Spurs team. Also, though, when you're talking about Kevin Durant, right, he gives you the mentor for Victor Wembanyama. And I think that that's very important because Victor Wembanyama wants to be more, Kevin Durant than he does Hakeem Olajuwon, right? So what better way to hone his craft in the Kevin Durant-esque type player where, Wemby wants to take 10 threes a game. I'm not a big fan of him taking 10 threes a game, but that's what he wants to do, and that's what the Spurs are letting him do, at least thus far. Maybe that changes. We'll see. Time will tell. But you look at what in the style in which Wemby wants to play, right? Well, Kevin Durant is a guy that can really kind of help him in those areas, kind of help raise that ceiling for him in that way and in that manner. And I just think we'll help take his game to the next level in the next year or two, right? And I also think, again, as Kevin Durant ages, I still think his game will level out while Wemby's is continuing to transcend. And then you'll have Wemby, Kevin Durant, and De'Aaron Fox, plus, Dylan Harper and everything else. And I also think that Kevin Durant can help guys like Dylan Harper, like a Stephon Castle, right? Help them on their shooting mechanics and, picking their spots on the floor and whatnot, right? I also think De'Aaron Fox is good for a guy like a Stephon Castle, as well as potentially a Dylan Harper, right? So I just think Kevin Durant all around is a really good just acquisition beyond just his production on the basketball court. But we'll see. Time will tell, right? But it's good that now we have kind of the report and confirmation that, hey, it's not just this camp. It's not just the Spurs. It's not just the Suns. Kevin Durant himself wants this done. Kevin Durant himself wants this trade to happen. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.